Hello, everyone. I'm Charlie, and welcome back to another DraftKings UCL soccer slate breakdown. Hope you guys had a better day than I did for this Tuesday slate. It was sort of just a weird game I found just because there was a real lack of kind of floor points. I think the highest scores in terms of like pure floor, which means just not goal contributions, was Barella and Lautaro. Just kind of a weird day. But hope you guys found a way to do well. And now we got this Wednesday slate with Arsenal at minus 150 and then Napoli, Barcelona. Barca slight favorites. So it's another really close slate with not major favorites. In terms of projected lineups, Porto, it's kind of interesting. Conceição isn't in projected on Porto, and he's been kind of their main set taker lately. He'd be on the wing usually. If it's this lineup, I think mostly Varela, but we could see Eustachio in there. We could see Wendell at left back who takes a share. So Porto are really unpredictable in terms of lineups and set pieces as a result of that. But just off of this team, it'd be Varela, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Wendell in who'd maybe take a share, a Conceição who'd maybe take a share, a Eustachio who'd maybe be in and take a share. For Arsenal, these days it's a Saka and Rice split. We saw kind of the good and the bad of Rice against in Arsenal's two kind of big wins, where against Burnley he did nothing. Against West Ham he had like 50 points or something. So he's been kind of weird, but I kind of like him here. For Napoli, Barca, Napoli with their new coach, Francesco Calzona, the ex-Slovakia coach. So it could be a bit of a new manager bump there, but it also means that we're not completely sure what set pieces look like under the new manager. If it's this lineup, if we were going off of what Napoli have been doing, it'd be a Kvaratskhelia Politano split with a little bit of Rui in there. They have not had a super consistent pattern for their set pieces even before they got this new coach. And for Barcelona, in this lineup, it'd be mostly Gundogan. However, I would not be surprised at all if we saw like a Rafinha instead of Roque, where he'd make it a split between Rafi and Gundo. So yeah, set pieces are going to be super lineup dependent this week or today, I guess. Um, in terms of prices for forwards, the most expensive guy is Robert Lewandowski. For me, this is a little much for him. He's been like sub 8K recently on like a lot of interleague slates that he's been on. So now that he's 9,600, I'm less of a fan of that. UCL prices are a little bit different than like other like Premier League or Interleague, wherever all these other teams come from. I think they're a little bit more based on how these players do in UCL, which hasn't been recently. So prices are kind of a little bit mismatched for a few guys, like Lua, who's been pretty cold, so probably should be a little bit cheaper than that. Then Saka for 9K. I like that a lot. He was 12K in the last Premier League game slate. I know a lot of people debate playing him or not. So for 9, that's just a plug in my eyes. First man in, as I continue to do with them. There's Rafinha. He's interesting if in. I don't know what side I'm on for him right now. I assume he likely gets subbed early considering he's coming back from injury, but he's splitting set pieces, so I'm always a sucker for that. There's Kvaratskhelia. I'm playing him more likely than not. He's probably my second forward with Saka. Probably take set pieces unless we see Zielinski in, who I didn't even talk about when we looked at the lineup, since he's been kind of in the doghouse ever since it's been announced that he's trying to go to Inter Milan after this season. But yeah, so there's no Zeal. I like Kvaratskhelia a lot. He probably has some set pieces. He doesn't even really need set pieces to get there. He gets so many shots and fouls drawn and just other points. He's kind of sustainable even without them. So I like Kvaratskhelia a lot. Martinelli, I think it's a little much for him. These guys who are more expensive than they were on like Premier League slates, I'm not that big of a fan of. Politano, that's probably a fair price for him. I don't mind him. He gets subbed a lot too, it's his issue, but I don't mind him for 7,800. Kai Havertz, if he starts at the nine, I'm always a fan of number nine, Kai Havertz. I can get behind that. He scored last game, I think. If it's Nketiah up top or Trossard, and we see Kai Havertz, it's like in midfield. I'm not that big of a fan of him. Man, 6,400 for Lamine Yamal seems like a bargain to me. Another of these guys who is being affected by UCL price, UCL quote unquote prices over like true prices that we've got in more recent slates than this. So like he's been like 9K on like these interleague slates. So for 6,400, I think that's a bargain. He's kind of stepped up and been Barca's kind of main attacker right now, with Lewandowski in a bit of a cold patch. Like he's kind of picked up the slack, and like Xavi's playing him almost 90 every game, despite that him being like 17 years old. It's like 64 Yamal, I think, is a bargain. There's Victor Roque. He was in projected. I just don't see him playing. So if he's in for that price, it's maybe worth a punt, but he's almost certainly not going past 60, I'd say. There's Conceição. He's been super hot for Porto. I like cheap set piece takers. I don't mind that as a play either, even though they're playing Arsenal, who scored 11 goals in the last two games. All right, midfielders. Gundogan 8,100. He's just a safe player. Like he doesn't get subbed. He gets points. He takes set pieces. If we see him with no Rafinha, he's like my first man in probably. If he's with Rafinha, they'll split set pieces. I become a little less sure of him, but I still see myself playing him more likely than not. Okay, Zelensky's actually out, confirmed. Wow, just all because he's not going to be in the, and he's going to Inter. That's kind of crazy. They just refuse to use him. Makes me like Kvaratskhelia a lot more. There's Galeno. He'll hop on set pieces at times. I had him in this Shakhtar game, which I think I took down that slate, I want to say. Or at least I won and came to the pitch ticket, so I had a lot of fun regardless. But I like Galeno a lot. Like, I'm interested in that. Frankie took some set pieces over I think last weekend when there was no Gundogan. If we see it's by some miracle Gundogan doesn't play, and we see Frankie in, might take a little share for that price is actually for 6K, it's a little much. I don't think I'd play that. Now there's Eustachio. Meh, 6K I think is a little much. But Declan Rice, I was just about to talk about her 4,700 taking set pieces probably. I'll play that. He's been 6K last couple Arsenal games, and he's kind of been a plug. So 4,700 might be a lock. Like he's the cheapest set piece taker on Slater, up there with one of them. There's Alan Varela. If we see that lineup that we saw in projected with none of the other potential set takers in, I'll play him. But that's like the only way I would, because if there's anybody else, I feel like they'd already make him unplayable, even though he's only 4K still. Like I'm just going to go Declan Rice anyway. Ahmed Traore played over the weekend. He didn't take set pieces, so I'm not really interested in him. Doubt he plays anyway. The rest, there's Jorginho. So with Jorginho, if he's starting with Declan Rice, Rice has a little bit more of a permission to go forward since Jorginho is usually the deepest one, since he likes to drop between center backs, make passes, which pushes Declan Rice up. So if Jorginho is in, that makes Declan Rice even more of a lock. All right, defenders. Wow, all these guys are out or injured or have some issue. None of these guys matter. Oliveira, if he starts, he's too much anyway. Cancelo, 4,500 Cancelo is pretty crazy. That's some soft defender pricing. I know he doesn't have the best floor, but he's got those ceiling games in for sure. Look at that 35 points against Porto. For 4,500, I think you got to consider that. Same with Di Lorenzo. These are some super, super soft defender prices. Like, I like both those guys. Mario Rui, too. I like that. Potential set pieces. I like all of these guys, really. These three defenders, love them all. Anything below, because they're so cheap, it makes me kind of almost disregard anything lower than that. Like, I'm not gonna, I don't really see myself going any of these guys now. Who isn't projected at left back? Kiwior still, and Ben White. Then I'm not super into them. Is Kiwior 3,300? It's not bad, but like, the fact that he's only like a K less than Cancelo is insane. Like, you get up to Cancelo every time. Every time. I'm playing two at least of these three defenders. I don't know if 3,600 is not terrible. Ben White. But meh. Arsenal center backs have been winning slates lately. Gabriel or Saliba. Or even Kiwior, I guess. Basically a center back anyway. So they're interesting pivots off of those guys, but for those prices, that's just crazy. Anything super low, Wendell, I don't mind for 2,800 if you desperately need extra 2K from like a Mario Rui to him. I don't mind that for 2,800. And especially if you see him and no Conceição, I'll play him then. Yeah, like that deal out guaranteed, I think lefty sets if there's no Conceição. Goalkeeper, crapshoot as usual. What it was what Sommer I think was the optimal goalkeeper despite I think not even making a save. So it's just whatever. Goalkeepers, just our goalkeepers. In terms of a core, there's so many forwards, it's tough. I don't really want to commit to putting any of these defenders in either, even though I'm playing them most likely. But actually, no, Saka I am playing. So he's the first guy in. I think I go Rice for 4,700 next. Second forward is tough because how cheap Lamine Yamal is. I'm probably going Gundogan. That's probably my core. And then I'm likely going two forwards. Like, there's a lot of good ones. And then I'm playing two of my of my three defenders right here. That's it, I think. Calling it a day. Third team, I think Porto probably is going to be avoiding because I like the Napoli and Barca pieces a lot. So that's how I kind of think I'll structure most of my builds. But I think I'm playing these three guys. I had Griezmann in my core for my last video. I ended up putting Çalhanoğlu in instead, although I did play Griezmann in cash to my own detriment. But for now, this would be my core. To get my updated, like after lineups come out core, check out our website in the description below. You've got to subscribe to join our Discord where I'm in 24/7. Some big soccer sites coming up that I'm going to be covering tomorrow. I think we got the MLS slate of Miami. 2K to first is the main contest. So we haven't seen a big MLS slate like that in forever. So I'm super excited for that. But I think that'll be it, guys. So good luck. Have fun. Hope you make all the money. Bye.